Hi, how are you guys? Awesome. My name is Jack Hojnar. Let me start by describing what I do by asking a question. How many of you guys here have a credit card? Awesome. That should fit. How many of you rent cars periodically? Great. How many of you rent a car using that credit card? Even better. How many of you know that if something happened when you rent that car with that credit card, you can actually call the bank up that gives you that card and get it fixed? A few of you, even better. That's what we do at CVSI. We provide those insurance products to travel, retail, warranty manager, purchase protection, those types of things. My role, what I work with, would say, is to annoy them about how we're not doing enough to be in touch with the consumers wherever they're having their interactions. Most of my job is not on the front end of marketing, though I support and sponsor and work with associations like Visa and MasterCard and issuers like Chase. The big part of what I do is to make sure that the user experience is working well. So that's the marketing component that I'll be bringing together today. Work for you guys? Yeah. Awesome.
So, Jack, any thoughts on this?
Sure. I can echo a lot of what you just talked about as well. Consumer experience is a big thing for me, and one of the trends that we're utilizing and I personally have an affection toward is the immediacy of response. In our line of work, particularly being on the claims side of financial services, right? So understand some dynamics quickly. These products came about, these benefit products that we're talking about, which you guys are aware of, the auto rental, et cetera, came about as a differentiator for the issuers. They can offer different types of services to say, use my card more often. It's a CRM tool. So our responsibility then is I can't prevent you from having a car accident, right? And the insurance providers don't want me to ram your car when you're renting it to prove to you how good our claims process is. Exciting, but I don't think we can get away with it. There's my compliance fee. It wouldn't work, right? So the consumer experience then for us is to mitigate or to find out that that's happening as quickly as possible. And social media and different analytic and monitoring tools allow us to do that real quickly. So one of the cool things that we're working on as an organization is not just taking tags and keywords that people say when they tweet or Facebook or other sources of social media. For example, no one's going to write, I wish I had ARCW, auto rental collision damage waiver, to protect my rental car. They're not going to do that. They're going to say, crap, just wrecked my rental car. Our media tools analyze it and read it. We're taking different dynamics of emotional experiences that take place and converting that into a call center. We can see that, contact the person if they have a DM, to your point about immediacy, right? And now we can say, hey, did you use your XYZ card? Because if you did, you might be in good shape and can take care of that for you. It's a great thing for the banks then, because now they've just reinforced the use of that particular tool. It also falls into compliance because we have the ability to do those things to kind of dovetail what we were talking about earlier today. So as a trend, that's what I find really exciting, is the fact that we can, well, not prevent something from happening, at least try to ease the burden of whatever may have occurred. And the tools allow us to do that.
Can I ask a question, Ryan? I'm intrigued by the evolution of the customer experience, but I don't want to have to get into an accident to experience it. So the issue for me is, what are the proactive elements of how data are being used in your access through digital channels to actually embrace and create a consumer experience that transcends transaction?
I can address that for you too, and I'll let you guys chime in. The second big piece of what we're responsible for is also the advocacy. Okay? So taking the same example, your awareness that these benefits exist is not just the only important thing, but your awareness of what it's actually covering, for example, and all the other attendant pieces of that is critical. And you and I were speaking about this a while ago. Reddit, a whole bunch of other sources can talk about how to do different things. And consumers, unlike those who actually, like us, who live in the business of promoting these products, particularly in financial services, we don't know the details of them. So as advocates, we go out to these sites as well, because we'll read social media channels, for example. And I hope I'm answering your question. We'll read these conversations that are taking place and try to, for lack of better words, set straight the dialogue to make sure that everyone realizes that when you do have these things happening, make sure you have all these pieces together. Related to that, we're working with the banks to create mobile tools right directly in their app. So you know instantly, you can look up terms and conditions, you're aware of these products and services. So we try to take an advocacy role too, to let them know how to relate with at least our world of products and services that we issue. Does that answer your question? To your point about editorial calendars, I'm sorry, to your point about editorial calendars, despite the fact that we're more reactive because we're on our side of that fence, the CRM side, we have the same thing. So every single month we're proactively not only telling our issuers these are things that are coming out. Be prepared for the holiday season because more people are going to be spending money and that can lead to different products. What we also do is we prepare in case there is a volcano that erupts.
Right.
And we know a ton of people are going to be stranded on airports. We have products that help them get through that. And so we've got pre-scripted things ready, we have a PR agency ready to start blasting them and make sure you're using the right card when you're traveling because these types of things can come up. So there's a proactive component to it that's scripted to you.
So when you have that scripted, is it something that just works inbound? In other words, I'm calling you from a place where we had that volcano eruption, and I'm talking to your rep, or is it something that you could tweet to everybody who's a follower, is to say, hey, we got this.
It's both. It's always both. We clearly, because we're on the call center side too, because we're taking inbound calls, and those inbound dynamics are not just phone calls. That's any kind of media, there's chat, and so forth. So clearly we're prepping and have all that prepared so we know how to manage that, but we are proactively letting people know to make sure they're doing certain things. And in particular, the editorial calendar, which I think is wonderful, is the fact that we know, I feel like we're opening up the rabbit's hat and showing us all the magic tricks. Right, but you're right, it is always planned. We know what we're doing. We know most people travel in January, February, March. We know most people buy holiday gifts in October, November, December. We know June tends to be a time when people tend to be outside or using grills. So all of us up here have relationships with clients and products that meet those needs. And so in June, we're prepping for December. So these aren't necessarily newfangled ideas. Real quick, one of the challenges that we're facing with some of our card clients right now, you speak about the technology, AI, and all that kind of stuff, is that some of our, Stephanie from our office is right there, she can attest to this, they're saying we want a better human interaction. The biggest challenge with that is it goes off script.
Right.
And so the training costs, the resource that you can find, they can actually sit down and have a consultative discussion with somebody is much more difficult. But we are finding more of our bank clients saying for certain segments of our population, our high-end customers spend a lot, do certain things, we want kind of like that up in the air with George Clooney where the pilot comes off the plane and says, thanks for flying with us.
Yep.
So it really is, and so we're balancing those dynamics right now because it becomes less of a script and more of an outline.
Right.
Let me give you an odd example of exactly what you're talking about. I'm flying here from Chicago because that's where I'm from, if you haven't noticed the accent if I got one. So
We have no accent.
Yeah, right. Of course you know. So I'm flying United and I look at my app, it says what gate I'm supposed to be at. I'm on the app, I'm running late to the flight. I start walking down the gate and just by instinct I said I'm going to look at the board and it was different.
Right.
So as a developer, as a tech person, because that's what I lead and head up, I was instantly furious and wanted to DM United and go fix the app because I'm in a hurry and I didn't want to look at the board.
Right.
So that to me speaks to what we as marketers can do better because I would look at that and want to DM and I would hope that United would say, thanks for telling me because there's some latency we built in the code and I don't know really specific, but if you guys get it.
Right.
But that's the whole experience that applies to anything. Financial services, if I go to transfer something on my phone from one account to the next, or I try to purchase something, or whatever I'm doing, there's an expectation. You know, it's weird to segue a little bit, but our experience as marketers years ago, the tactile nature of our marketing was going someplace, working with a teller or buying shoes. How comfortable are we all now with potentially going to Zappos, right, and buying a pair of shoes and then going, I don't like them, putting them back in the box and shipping them. Right? So the tactile nature for me from a technology perspective becomes that device. And what are we doing to make sure that's all in sync? Because again, I understand and appreciate exactly the acquisition stuff. And then on my side of the fence, it's I want to make sure that the instant you guys commit to that particular promise, right, that everything that their experience is phenomenal. We're not going to be the only bank, for example, when we work with a particular bank that gets your attention. There's that saying about whatever that is, a beer commercial, we just want to be the best. I think Sam Adams says that.
Right.
But it's true, and so that's what we have an opportunity